Strong opposition to SABL in Leh. Dr. John Niblett yet to be paid entitlements. And PNG represented at 12th Festival of Pacific Arts.
This is National EMTV News with Mary Bartolo.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for Monday's news. There has been strong opposition to the special agriculture business leases at the start of a Lands Department workshop that began in Leh today. The workshop is part of a series aimed at drawing views from the public on proposed amendments to the Land Act of 1996. SABLs have been the source of much anger by landowners, many of whom have experienced instances of land grabbing by foreign-owned logging companies.
The Momase Lands Workshop brought together stakeholders from as far away as Vanimo, Sundown Province, Wewak and Medang, each province with its own experiences of the special agriculture business leases.
Right now, it's open-ended. Anybody can walk in and do whatever they want. So we have to get control.
Today, when they all had a chance to express their views, there was overwhelming consensus that SABLs had to go. Former Morobe Governor Luther Wenge led a charge echoed by several others.
This lease by automatically by giving Golong Usad man, even giving this ground, Lord is lease. Automatic.
SABLs have been an issue of debate for the last 6 years. Landowners have been complaining to government that special agriculture business leases awarded to companies for 99 years don't serve the interests of customary landowners. Today, the lands minister acknowledged that things needed to change.
But one pla tintin tu come or sem. Samla SABL more good pla. Samla ino good pla. Minimum sem ino good pla logenia. Problem. Lena got problem one time. So, me pla now like addressing this la by reducing term law is 99 year lease here.
This conference is reviewing the Lands Act, and over the next 4 days, various aspects of the amendments will be put through the rigorous process of public consultation. The final result will be taken up to Parliament for approval. Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Leh.
Angao cancer specialist Dr. John Niblett says he still has not been paid 6 months of his salary and his full leave entitlements. Last week, he was facing deportation after the health department told him that it would not renew his contract. Dr. Niblett had been contacting the health department about his contract since December last year, but did not get an answer until he was notified to leave the country.
Leh's Angao Cancer Treatment Center is the only one in the country. It is said to be running out of drugs and facilities need urgent maintenance, and now its most experienced cancer specialist has been asked to leave the country in 2 months. Oncologist Dr. John Niblett was told by the health department that his contract would not be renewed. The senior oncologist is disappointed about the way he was told to leave the country after 7 years on his second stint in PNG.
The fact that they have not told me until the last minute whether I've got a contract or not. I've been requesting information since before Christmas, and also I wasn't given a reason why I wasn't able to take leave, although it's in my contract.
The cancer specialist has been working in the country for 15 years. He has been, for the most part, treating cancer, raising money for the fight against cancer, and being vocal about early signs and treatment.
Things have become very tight financially, and I'm quite happy to go along with that. My main complaint is the way in which it's been done. Instead of giving me some advance warning as to whether I was going to stay or leave.
Dr. Niblett told me today that his salary backdating 6 months ago and his leave entitlements haven't been paid yet. Instead, he was left in the dark by the health department when he was asking for a response about the renewal of his contract for 1 more year. Until 2 weeks ago, the health secretary, Pasco Kase, came out in the media stating that Niblett's contract would not be renewed and that he was asked to leave the country. It's understood that the health department will be hiring 2 oncologists to take Dr. Niblett's place. The apparent last-minute shove by the health department and the consequent threat of deportation by immigration followed after the department told Dr. Niblett that it didn't have the money to pay him.
But as all methods of contracts goes, that there is a start time and a ending time, and that's the time that after taking into consideration all the factors and performance and work and so forth, the contract is not renewed between the department and Dr. Niblett.
Health Secretary Pasco Kase has told the country why they had to let Dr. Niblett go. Last week, in a press conference, he said it was based on a contract decision. Bethany Harriman, National MTV News, Leh.
NGO group Coalition for Change recently held its annual general meeting and highlighted that the Family Protection Act 2013 and its implementation remains an important focus. Awareness on the Family Protection Act will continue this year, especially awareness on the process of obtaining interim protection orders and permanent protection orders under the current district court rules.
The AGM of the Coalition for Change, or CFC, was held last week in Port Moresby. The vision of CFC is to achieve cultural change in PNG where violence, especially spousal violence and violence against children, is not tolerated, and the rights of women and children are respected. The Family Protection Act is a law that was passed by Parliament in 2013. This means domestic violence is a criminal offence and is punishable under the provisions of the Family Protection Act. CFC advocates to inform people that regardless of gender, survivors and victims of domestic violence can seek protection under the Act. A step-by-step procedure on how to apply for an interim protection order has been prepared by CFC and can be obtained from their office at Level 2 BSP House, Harbour City. Going forward into 2019, CFC wants to develop and implement programs that will bring about desired change in values and behavior within individuals, community, organizations, and at the national level. Deli Waigeno, National MTV News.
Road safety is critically important for road users, but experts say many Papua New Guineans are not knowledgeable of safety signs that results in high death rates every year. Papua New Guinea has the highest number of road accidents in the Southwest Pacific region. Education and awareness remains critical to making sure people are aware of road safety signs and they obey safety regulations.
Road accidents in Papua New Guinea remain one of the main causes of deaths and injuries. The Highlands Highway has so far recorded the highest number of deaths as a result of fatal accidents.
Especially the Islands Highway. This is where a lot of accidents occurred.
The National Capital District is leading with a high number of accidents every year. With such a large landmass, the number of vehicles, and a significant number of drivers who literally know little about road signs and safety regulations, awareness and education remains critically important to minimize accidents. Police Chief Traffic Officer Joe Joseph says fatal accidents have claimed more than 200 lives each year.
Between 200 to 300 people are killed on our road every year in Papua New Guinea. And this is one too many. When we talk about injuries, it's between 4,000 to 5,000 people.
The challenge now is to educate people about safety on the roads. The National Road Safety Council and police traffic officers have been carrying out safety awareness in schools and public places in Southern Highlands and Henga provinces. The Asian Development Bank, who funded most of the roadworks in the Highlands provinces, supported the safety campaign financially. While awareness remains critical, the responsible agency is trying to introduce road safety lessons in the national education curriculum.
Our only issue is how can we sustain such road safety campaigns and education and awareness, because only through sustained approach on a regular basis it can have a greater impact and outcome.
Quinten Alomp, National MTV News.
Ahead in the news, a man caught attempting to snatch a bag and calls for Nadzap Airport to install screening equipment due to the continuous smuggling of marijuana. Details after the break. Welcome back to the news. A man is now in police custody after he was caught snatching a woman's bag. Police chased him from Gordon's bus stop towards the residential area along the Poreporana freeway and apprehended him. He was taken to the Gordon's police station and the bag returned to the student. The backpack contained a laptop, including the student's books.
It's a very notorious place where bandits dislakan something sa kamap. Policeman lo Gordon's miplo sa train base lo miplo lo dislakan ol mange. So api lo miplo na ko communities stop around please public miplo lo dislakan something kamap lo miplo policeman roni mol kain man please. Imibung wantem na fight him crime no policeman na miplo no. Machine no miplo no robot we miplo ba boko mo kata boko miplo nidim support miplo community to.
Over 20 police officers from Port Moresby, Central and Gulf are undergoing a refresher course at the Bomana Police Training College. The 3-week-long workshop targets basic policing duties, including manning the station, collecting statements and interviewing victims. Most of the participants have been in the police force for over 10 years, and this frontline supervision course includes both theory and practical lessons on leadership. The training will conclude on the 10th of June. Roads leading into Kira village outside Port Moresby have been temporarily closed after Eda Ranu cut off the water supply into the village last Wednesday. Angry villagers closed both sides of the road at 12:30 today, stopping motorists and the travelling public from using this road. Port Moresby police went to the scene at 1 o'clock this afternoon and have been monitoring the situation since.
When MTV News arrived at the scene, huge rocks were lined across the road to prevent vehicles from accessing the Sabama market and Kira village. PMV buses transporting passengers into Kira, Sabama and Badili were denied entry and passengers forced to walk home.
Why we are blocking the road? Because of the frustration that our village people have.
Arutu Bake, the village councillor, explained to MTV News that Kira villagers have been living without water for at least 1 week.
It's been almost frustrated through especially the landowners. And this morning I went to Mary Carros at his house, and she just told me that go to the head office.
Kira is a Motu Koitabuan village. It has a growing population of 15,000 people. Since the water supply was cut, public servants have stayed away from work, and it has also affected classes for students.
Because some of them, they were trying to go to work and school. And that's the frustration that we have now. They're blocking the road.
A letter was written to Eda Ranu, but it is understood the water cut is a result of non-payment of water bills.
We are suffering. They limit our water.
Such situations are becoming common in Port Moresby because of the increase in demand for water as a result of the growing number of people migrating to Port Moresby. But while Eda Ranu is connecting water supply into new residential areas through public-private partnerships, such situation also needs to be addressed. For this particular situation, Eda Ranu is yet to make an official comment on the matter. Thakla Gunga, National MTV News.
Construction of the proposed Gerahu to 9 Mile Road was halted today by residents of Tassion Barracks. They claim contractors have failed to address safety and health concerns. The residents say they are at risk of fallen power lines, noise pollution and diseases.
This morning, frustrated residents prevented the construction work along the Tassion Barracks Road. Company vehicles of developer Chinese Abus Engineering were turned away and construction workers prevented from working. According to affected residents who have formed a committee, the contractors have caused severe environmental damages that is life-threatening and is a held asset.
All families blow 46 policemen ya. Only go come lo housing now. All kind sick, lo breathing, headache, dizziness, yaring problem, all geta diarrhea, all geta this all cases now is becoming common law. This lab now.
Residents living meters away from the road are at risk of fallen power lines, damaged communication cables and broken storage pipes diffusing dust and noise pollution from heavy construction vehicles. In 2014, 46 police personnel on behalf of their families submitted a petition containing all their demands to the contractor. One of their demands is to relocate the barracks some kilometers away from the road. However, to date, nothing has been done.
Construction understanding lo mipla lo before. One time all developers lo road, NCDC, Kadno, na Abbas Engineering, lo this la time mipla bin talk lo 2014. Lo only mas relocate mipla, na mipla by clear lo this lab na biyan ba ulikam okima road development lo through lo barracks lo mipla.
NCD Metropolitan Superintendent Benjamin Turi, who was present at the scene, said that developer and contractor are aware and will look into rectifying this matter. Meanwhile, the road will remain closed for an indefinite period until the matter is resolved. Eric Arupma, National EMTV News.
G4S Northern Region Manager Tony Lake says Lae's Nadzap Airport needs to invest in screening equipment to help them detect drugs, weapons and explosives carried by passengers. These equipment will assist in preventing people from smuggling illegal items in and out of the province. Lake's comments came after G4S guards stationed at the airport confiscated 3.1 kilograms of marijuana early yesterday morning.
At around 9 a.m. yesterday morning, G4S guards stationed at the airport caught a 22-year-old man from Kavieng with 3.1 kg of marijuana wrapped in a clear plastic and carefully placed in his luggage. The drugs are valued at around 10,000 kina. The 22-year-old told the guards that he is a grade 10 student and lives in Chimbu province. He got the drugs from Chimbu and was trying to take it to Kavieng and sell it there. He is now in police custody and will appear in the district court on Wednesday.
The airport invested in some screening equipment so this could be caught more regularly.
G4S Northern Region Manager Tony Lake says on average guards catch at least 2 passengers in a month trying to smuggle drugs through the airport. In just this year alone, they have caught 10 people.
This sort of trafficking needs to stop and you need to invest.
Drug smuggling is becoming common at Lae's Nadzap Airport. This is because Nadzap Airport does not have the proper equipment to detect drugs and other illegal items that passengers carry. It is even more difficult for guards to detect these illicit substances if passengers strap them around their body under their clothes. Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Lae.
Police have been carrying out eviction exercises in 8 different locations around Madang town as of last week. This has seen members of the Madang police force and their families also falling victims to this eviction. According to the provincial government's plan, the eviction will make way for an urbanized Madang. Rachel Shise with this report.
The evictions will happen in 8 different places, bearing in mind that the Madang police officers themselves are residing in some of these settlements.
Police officers as well as some public servants as well. So it is a concern and an issue where we have no control over. So at least, you know, if we are displaced, that's it. We have to look for an alternate place to stay.
This is due to the chronic housing problem for police in the province that EMTV has been following up on. That's long overdue to be addressed.
They were all given sufficient time of 1 month's notice to vacate. So they have not complied. So we have to move in to physically execute the eviction orders.
A recent visit by the Police Administration's Deputy Commissioner Rafael Huafolo and the Police Logistics Assistant Commissioner Tony Duam is yet another hope for the officers that the housing projects happen sooner.
I keep my fingers crossed that, things should work out in our favor to do all the other groundwork to fast track the projects of housing in Medang to kick off the ground soon.
The evictions are according to the provincial government's plans to urbanize Medang province for the benefit of everyone.
This exercise will cover and extend out to that state land, which is now scheduled for major developments with the provincial government's urbanization program for Medang.
Rachel Shise, National MTV News, Medang.
63 women and 5 men at Bumayong in Ley graduated last week after a week's training in floriculture. The training was funded by Ley District Department of Agriculture and Livestock. Different types of flower arrangements were showcased by the participants at the closing ceremony.
The participants of the floriculture workshop graduated with flying colors as they venture into the floriculture industry. After the workshop, the male participants clearly realized the importance of the flowers and plants in their surroundings.
Miga di SABL na luglug lo. Adislakan wakabon adislakan program imi olman meriwe kaino gathering in selo church o in selo a graduation or in selo one of big event about the decoration. So this time I'm really blessed my heart blow me straight. So me too me yamamas lo come involved na take part lo this la a program.
Workshop trainers Rubina Kenjin and Gaina Low assisted the participants in the order of flower arrangement. This could help them generate income through the display of flowers in offices, hotels or special gatherings.
Government must look SABL work blow flower inside the country. They must make a market blow flower and become a big people mama inside the Papua New Guinea so that people mama too people can export in flowers don't go outside the overseas country too.
Law further thanked DAL for supporting the program and encouraged mothers to be part of the growing industry. She also said that the government should consider in strengthening this industry as available and possible for export. Julie Badui Owa, National MTV News, Ley.
The Independent Consumer and Competition Commission has raised serious concerns over the recently announced proposal by Oil Search to acquire Interoil. According to ICCC Commissioner and CEO Paulus Ayn, this deal could substantially lessen the competition within the natural gas market in Papua New Guinea. Section 69 of the ICCC Act, which deals with business acquisitions, prohibits acquisitions of assets or shares which could lessen competition in the market. Ayn says parties in this proposed acquisition should apply to the ICCC for an exemption from Section 69 of the ICCC Act before finalizing this transaction.
The proposed acquisition of Interoil by Oil Search. There is a statutory process stipulated under the ICCC Act that requires any major acquisitions in this country, they're required to come to the ICCC. And we are concerned that we have not been reliably informed or made aware of that proposed until it came out in today's paper. Lately, we realized this, that most of these business houses are just going ahead and acquiring one after another, selling off shares to each other. And we've been very silent on this one because the ICCC Act has been is not very mandatory for them to come to us, and that is why. So we've lately shifted this one to make it mandatory. So everyone will now be coming to the ICCC for any major acquisitions.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill has formally replied to the petitions from the student representative councils of both UPNG and Unitec. The 10-page letter addressed to the presidents of SRCs at both universities mentions that with regards to all points raised by the students, that there were aspects that were still before the courts. On the UBS loan, Mr. O'Neill said there were some aspects relating to it that were still before the courts and therefore he could not comment on them. However, he did say that the loan was to ensure that Oil Search Limited, one of the country's premier business assets, had to be retained. He said the UBS had been secured in compliance with PNG laws and that the loan comes in the form of a collar loan, which limits the exposure to the country, and that it has not affected the availability of foreign currency. On budget cuts, Mr. O'Neill said it was necessary to adjust the budget, saying that if it wasn't done, the country would be facing much more serious problems. On controversial legal bill payments by government, Mr. O'Neill said the previous governments had engaged private law firms who had become the subject of investigations. MTV will have more coverage on all points addressed by the Prime Minister and student reactions tomorrow. And now a look at the finance news. The Kina opened unchanged at $0.3160 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3085, $0.4238 Australian dollars, $0.2720 euro, and 33.75 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and cocoa closed higher, while copper closed the day unchanged. Crude oil and copper closed lower, while palm oil closed the day higher. And on the stock markets, the Dow Jones closed 65 points higher, the ASX closed 26 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed 24 points lower. When we come back, the 12th Pacific Festival of Arts, volcano erupts in Indonesia, cyclone in Bangladesh, and flooding in Sri Lanka. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Papua New Guinea is participating in the 12th Festival of Pacific Arts in Guam. The autonomous region of Bougainville and East Sepik province were among the first groups to travel to the country. The rest of the other participants arrived in Guam today to complete the PNG delegation. Fabian Hakalitz reports from Guam.
Half a day, oh hello from Guam. Yes, it's one of the biggest events celebrating the spirit of the Pacific and this 12th Festival of Pacific Arts here in Guam. Head of delegation Dr. Jacob Simet led Papua New Guinea, and accompanying him was National Tourism Minister Tobias Kulang. They were given a rousing traditional welcome in the presence of Mayor June Bas.
But we will be with you daily on your stay here on Guam. So welcome, half a day, and thank you so much for coming to Guam and participating in our FestPac event this year.
As the PNG delegation stepped out of the arrival lobby, they were surprised with the yellow and gold color welcome from Mr. and Mrs. Taumomua. And the excitement has filled the capital of Guam as they are celebrating one of the biggest and uniting events in the Pacific, which is the 12th Festival of Pacific Arts here in Guam. The 2 weeks event, which begins today, will end on June 4 next month, and MTV News will bring you more updates from this 12th Festival of Pacific Arts. In Guam, Fabian Hakalitz, National MTV News.
The Governor of Guam, Eddie Bazar Calvo, thanked all participating countries for accepting the invitation to the 12th Festival of Pacific Arts. And while some countries are slowly losing their cultural identity, events such as the Festival of Arts strengthen the historical and cultural bond to foster knowledge for future generations.
It was spectacular last night during the official opening of the 12th Festival of Pacific Arts in Guam. Australia, New Zealand and Taiwan joined the other Pacific Island countries at the festival village at Paseo. Members from other Pacific Island countries were amused with the gifts presented by the PNG delegation, from the paintings, wooden bowl and bow and arrows that was later presented to the Guam governor.
We believe that our participation at this festival will have a lot to do with the preservation and promotion of cultures in the Pacific.
Hosting country Guam wrapped up the opening ceremony with the spectacular items with fireworks. The Festival of Pacific Arts offers more opportunities for Pacific Islanders to learn, share and protect their indigenous identity. In Guam, Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
At least 7 people were killed and several others injured in Indonesia's North Sumatra province after Mount Sinabung erupted on Saturday, spewing clouds of hot ash onto a nearby village. The volcano in North Sumatra province destroyed a village called Gamba, located just 4 kilometers from the volcano's crater, a known danger zone.
Relatives gathered at a local hospital to identify the victims and to help the injured who were suffering from severe burns. Indonesian officials have reportedly advised residents of the destroyed village to evacuate. Relatives of the victims said they likely returned for economic reasons. The joint search and rescue team, police, army and residents continue combing through debris for survivors. It is not yet known exactly how many people were in the village of Gamba when the eruption happened. Mount Sinabung is one of nearly 130 active volcanoes in the world's 4th most populated country, which straddles the Pacific Ring of Fire. The most deadly volcanic eruption in recent years was of Mount Merapi near the densely populated city of Yogyakarta in central Java, which erupted in late 2010, killing more than 350 people. Vanessa Knight, EMTV World News.
A cyclone battered coastal Bangladesh on Saturday, killing at least 21 people and injuring many more. According to the Weather Office, Cyclone Roanu has now decelerated but could still bring brief periods of violent wind and rain.
Authorities in low-lying Bangladesh have moved about 500,000 people into 3,500 shelters, according to the disaster minister. Cyclone Roanu has killed people in collapsed houses, landslides and a storm surge that broke embankments at 2 places in the Chittagong port city in the southeast. Several people were injured after gusty winds damaged houses and shops and uprooted trees and electric poles. Some places were inundated by a storm surge of 3 to 4 feet above normal tide height, officials said. Authorities were also evacuating people from hilly parts of Chittagong in case persistent rain triggers more landslides. Officials suspended flights to Chittagong Airport while the Bangladesh Inland Water Transport Authority restricted movement of all ships and ferries. The Weather Office, in its final update for the day, advised fishing boats and trawlers to remain in shelter until Sunday afternoon. Bangladesh is frequently battered by such storms. More than 3,000 people were killed by Cyclone Sid in 2007 and around 200 lives were lost to Cyclone Ayla in 2009. Vanessa Knight, EMTV World News.
Rescue operations continued in the Sri Lankan capital of Colombo on Sunday on the 6th day of deadly floods as water levels began to recede. Days of torrential rains have led to the deaths of 82 people and have forced more than 242,000 people from their homes across the South Asian island nation.
Most of those displaced are from the capital Colombo, where the Kalani River broke its banks. The government deployed the armed forces and hundreds of boats to rescue people trapped in their houses and to provide people still in their homes with supplies. Hundreds of thousands of people queued up to make donations to the affected, as dozens of media organizations and civil groups launched public appeals for cooked food, bottled water, dry rations and clothes. 118 people are still reportedly missing, buried in mud after 2 separate landslides. Flooding and drought are common in Sri Lanka, which is battered by a southern monsoon between May and September, while a northeastern monsoon runs from December to February. Vanessa Knight, EMTV World News.
You're watching National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is up next. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Australia's most celebrated female basketball player, Lauren Jackson, will be guest speaker at the 2016 SP Sports Awards. 33 finalists will be vying for the top sports awards that will take place on Saturday, June the 4th. Jackson, who retired from competitive basketball earlier this year, is recognized as one of the world's best female basketball players. She has had a stellar basketball career, which includes winning the American Professional Basketball League, the Women's NBA Championship, winning the WNBA Most Valuable Player of the Year award, winning an Olympic bronze medal, and being the flag bearer for the Australian Olympic team. Chairman of the SP Sports Awards Organising Committee, Andrew Lepani, said Lauren is looking forward to coming to PNG for the first time and meeting the SP Awards finalists. To football, and the PNG men's national football team arrived in Port Moresby this morning, a week ahead of the opening match against New Caledonia. PNG captain David Muta is calling on the country for their support as they look to create history by playing at home for the first time in almost a decade.
The men's national team's arrival in Port Moresby brings to reality the intensity of the Nations Cup. Under national coach Flemin Seretslev, the team has so far played only 2 international matches since March, although he has stated on previous occasions that he is confident in the quality of players that Papua New Guinea possesses. Arriving at Jackson's domestic terminal after a 2-week-long training camp in Lae, Morobe province, the team looked relaxed and confident ahead of the match against New Caledonia.
The preparation was really well done to the coaches and staff, everyone. I think we have 1 week training at Lae. It was really awesome. You can see that the boys are really looking forward for the training, which it will be helpful for our tournament games.
Captain David Muta is extremely excited to be part of a side that has rarely played at home, and is calling on the country's support as they prepare to host the Nations Cup.
Honestly speaking, I'm really looking forward for the first game here. It's our home ground, and I can't wait to play this tournament.
PNG's first match will be against New Caledonia on Sunday, with the game to be telecast at 4 p.m. live on MTV. Jeremy Moggy, National MTV Sports.
Still on football, and joining Papua New Guinea today, Tahiti arrived to much fanfare at the Jackson's International Terminal to welcome the defending OFC Nations Cup champions. Head coach Ludovic Grenier has said the squad is fully prepared to defend their title.
A lot has changed since being OFC champions for the last 4 years for Tahiti football team. Tahiti has brought only 6 players from the 2012 squad that lifted the trophy and went on to participate in the Confederations Cup in 2013. Head coach Ludovic Grenier said also that the team is much younger than before and has considered that has displaced them as favorites for the tournament despite being defending champions.
On vient avec nos qualités et nos valeurs. Et l'objectif premier, c'est de sortir de la poule pour, dans un premier temps, aller en demi-finale. Donc on s'est préparé avec peu de moyens cette fois-ci. Donc on ne vient pas en favori, on vient en outsider et on va bien voir comment se passe le tournoi.
Tahiti faces Samoa on Sunday 29th of May at 7 p.m. That match played after PNG played New Caledonia. Also in the arrivals, the Japan Under-20 women's national team joined their senior counterparts in preparation for the Tri-Series friendlies against host Papua New Guinea and Under-20 heavyweights USA. Dini Rose Raiko, National MTV Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The Fairfax Volleyball Association is one of the top volleyball competitions in the nation's capital. The competition is into its 2nd week of the proper season as the matches intensify. The competition had 5 weeks of normal preseason, and from that preseason, teams were selected and distributed in their respective divisions before season proper commenced.
The Fairfax competition is currently into the 2nd stages of the first round, with 9 registered clubs and 45 teams all distributed into 5 divisions, including Open Men's and Women's, A-grade Men's and Women's, plus Under-20 Men's division. The competition has been one of the most outstanding competitions that have seen some of the top young players that have come through the ranks to go on and play for the PNG national side.
A-grade men's and women's are divided into 2 pools, Pool A and Pool B.
because there's 12 A-grade men and 12 A-grade women. So we divide them into 2 pools, so 6 in each pool. The reason why we put them in pools is so that our competition can basically, the round robin games can basically finish at the same time.
The association has a very good development pathways to breed young players, like the inclusion of the under-20 division.
There have been over the years, especially in the women's team. The bulk of the women's national team came from Fairfax Association, and so Fairfax is pretty proud of that achievement. The challenge is for the men's team. We had probably just maybe one or two from this association who have represented the country.
The national championship is the pinnacle of every championship competition in the PNG Volleyball Association calendar, and Fairfax are always looking forward to that. The national championships will be held in September, and the association will also get into formalizing the selection of the members and coaching staff to attend.
Yeah, under 21 is a place where, you know, we introduce the development pathway, and it's from there that they begin to. It's like a crossroad, if you like, where they it's either professional or like casual. So we as an association, we try to instill the professionalism in them. So that's a place where they kind of make a decision whether they take it seriously or not.
The finals are expected to be played after the national championships, which will be held around October and early November. Shane Soroya, National EMTV Sports.
To rugby, and Fiji won successive Rugby Sevens World Series titles when it beat Australia 26-0 in its last pool match to reach the London quarterfinals. Fiji needed only to make the playoffs, which it hasn't missed this season, but put it in doubt after losing their opening pool match to England 31-10. The Fijians took out their frustration on Wales 42-5 and then defeated Australia. That ensured they finished second to unbeaten England in their pool and couldn't be caught by second-place South Africa in the season standings. Fiji clinched its third crown in the series' 17-year history. And Jared Hayne made his debut for the Fiji Sevens team against a strong England outfit. Having been named on Friday in Fiji's 12-man squad, Hayne got his first slice of the action with 4.5 minutes remaining in the second half of his side's opener against hosts England.
His first involvement was over before it started, as he bought a dummy on the left wing before the ball ultimately went to ground from Oliver Lindsay. He received the ball only once, taking it on the Fiji line under the posts before passing and wrapping around for the return from Semisoni Viriviri, which was intercepted for a try for Tom Bowen.
Oh, just gifted, but Bowen couldn't score a moment ago, he can now!
England ran out 31-10 winners over the reigning world champions, much to the delight of the home support. In Fiji's second pool game, Hayne made an appearance with just 3 minutes on the clock in a 42-5 victory over Wales.
Who knows all about French rugby? Simon Maddox. Good morning, Simon. Good morning.
Running on with his side leading by 28 points, Hayne's first act was a good step followed by a loose pass resulting in a turnover. Coach Ben Ryan says Hayne has struggled in his debut for Fiji and will now undergo intense training for 6 weeks. Elijah Lavette, National EMTV Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather details after the break.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region, thundery showers expected in Port Moresby, Daru, Kerma and Alta, a shower or two in Popondetta. To the Momase region, mostly fine in Lae, Wau, Medang, Wewak and Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, fine in Lorengau and Kavieng, showers in Kokopo, Rabaul and Kimbe, and showers with some thunderstorms in Buka. And to the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, showers, thundery showers expected in Goroka, Kondiawa, Mendi and Wabeg, and all these major centers to expect some morning fog. Before we go, recapping our main stories for tonight. strong opposition to SABLs in Leh. Dr. John Niblett yet to be paid his entitlements, and PNG represented at the 12th Festival of Pacific Arts. And that's the news, sports and weather for tonight, Monday the 23rd of May 2016. On behalf of the EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.